going on, YouTube? This is TeamPlusorBust here. Talking with like a little segment that I don't think I want to do, called Diving Into the Meta. I'm going to start doing it. I mean, we're a relatively new channel, trying to get our name out there, so if you guys want to, you know, subscribe, rate, comment, all that good stuff. We're not subscriber hoarders, we're just out there to, you know, give some information to the public. So with this, I've got my little note card here that has everything that I want to talk about onto it. And to start it off, let's be honest, I think we got to talk about the ban list. And you know, with it becoming official on the Yu-Gi-Oh website today, I think the biggest things you need to talk about is like what got unlimited. And I think this ban list, as I've had in a couple of other videos, has really leveled the playing field in the fact that, you know, with agents going to the Earth Agent going to 2, Kaluk going to 2, Debris Dragon going to 2, unbanning Spore. It brings a lot of decks back into play, and you know, you're talking about plants, talking about agents, which was a really generally consistent deck when it was winning, you know, before the March format. So you look at that. You look at with Tsukuyomi coming unbanned. I'm not going to beat that to death because let's be honest, it has been. People are trying to find what to integrate it in, and I mean, you could say, yeah, it flips face down, but how does it change the aspect of the game? And with the game being so much faster than it was back in Go Control, you know, it hasn't been unbanned in 8 years. So I mean, you got to look at that. So you kind of got to figure out what to work it in. I think it'll see a lot of play with people trying to figure out. I mean, it's a one card solution to Thunder King. It's a one card solution to a lot of things. So it'll be interesting to see where that's put into the game. But with, like I said, with plants coming back, you can have a lot of synchro-centric decks, which is cool. I like how Konami kind of put a little more thought into the synchros rather than just abandoning it. Because you look at it, and synchros have only been around a relatively short time before they were trying to change the aspect of the game. And I think they can bring a serious edge to the game, especially, I mean, you look at cards like with the Blackwing decks. I mean, a lot of them have really cool and useful effects. And so you look at that, and you just look at plants, and the plants was really good. I think it's not clearly not going to be as good as it was. I mean, Tengu still being a 2, stuff like that. But nevertheless, it's cool to see some different things come back into play. And then with Tour Guide going to 2, and Rabbit going to 2, I think that really slows the game down, which also brings in Tsukuyomi into a little bit of a where it can kind of become a part of the game. Because before, I mean, if you still have Rabbit and all that at 3, Tsukuyomi's a little slow of a card to be bringing back into the game. So that's good with the ban list. I don't want to talk about it too much. I mean, you look at Light Swords and all that good stuff. There's a lot of stuff that can come back into play. Moving on from that, what decks do you guys think is going to be big? Personally, I think you're going to see a lot of Rabbits still, but I think of everything, you have to start with what decks weren't touched by the ban list, and that is Dark World and Heroes. I think are the 2 biggest ones. I mean, Heroes, I guess you consider it being touched, but they took an E-Call and they took a Hero Lives Away, but you can still run 2 E-Call, you can still run Rhoda, you still have Stratos. I mean, really, there's a lot there that it has. And then with Escurado coming out, I think it can become, it's going to become a really powerful deck. I mean, you still have Shinings, you still have all of that recyclability that deck has, along with, I mean, Escurado, you literally have all types that you can super poly with. So your opponent, I mean, is going to have to choose really wisely on what they play, and what they make their big plays with. Another deck, like I said, the other deck I think could be big is Dark World. But the only issue being Dark World is its own worst enemy. It has a really bad matchup in the mirror match. It's real hard to beat in the mirror match. I mean, but you look at it, I think the biggest card in there is the Drag Down to the Graves and the fact that they still have 3. I mean, we haven't seen a card anywhere close to that for a long time, except like maybe Delinquent Duo. But I mean, you look how long it's been since that card's been around. But very rarely are you going to see a card at 3 that you can look at your opponent's hand and take a card out of that, take their best card out of that hand. Granted, you can set your whole hand in that Dark World deck, and they're going to have to pick either a toolbox, a big monster, or more draw power. So I think it'll see a lot of play, although it is really easy to side against. Shattering Imprisoning Mirrors, stuff like that. Any macro will wreck that deck. But those are 2 main ones that I think are going to still be big. Another one being Dino Rabbit. I really don't see Dino Rabbit losing a lot of play because it still is consistent. You can still turn 1 Rescue Rabbit into Lagia, turn 2 Tour Guide, Leviair, Rescue Rabbit again. I mean, it's in no way dead. So I still think you'll see a lot of that. And I think GK still a very good deck. It's very consistent. Yeah, Duality goes to 2, so that affects it a little bit, but I don't think it kills deck at all. I think it's still very consistent. I mean, you look at any deck, if you roll Tribute turn 1, it's going to shut 95% of decks down. The only thing it's not going to hit is that Dark World, or if anybody's playing Fabled, which, let's be honest, not going to really see that all that much. But this is kind of a sleeper deck that I'm thinking of is going to be the Gravekeepers. I think a lot of people are going to underestimate it, as they have in the past, and I think it's going to top a couple YCS, top a couple regionals. You're going to see people get into it because the graveyard ability of Necro Valley, just the big beater, big floaters. I mean, it's just a lot. And World Tribute's a really great card, so I think that's my big picker for a sleeper deck. And speaking of sleepers and ban list and everything, let's go to YCS Toronto, talk about that for a little bit. And I think with that coming out on the day the ban list is official, I think you could see some wacky decks top. I really do, because you may not see a solid meta built yet, because that the list had just come out. So you're not going to see something that you would have at the end of the format last year, where Insectors was really big at the previous format at the very end. But you look at the beginning of the format, I mean, there was little inconsistency issues. I mean, it takes a while in every list for things to become broken. You get to find those combos and for things to become broken. So I think YCS Toronto is going to be really exciting, and it's going to be neat to see what tops there and what becomes prominent in this format. Other than that, I mean, some busts that I'd like to talk about. People keep saying that there's this Tefnuit Teledad deck out there, but let's be honest, no Teledads like the original Teledad. I don't think that deck's going to show any prominence whatsoever. You look at it and it seems just completely inconsistent. Personally, I'm going to be running, if I'm not necessarily at Toronto, I'm going to be running Control deck, anti-meta. That's kind of my thing anyway. I really enjoy that, and I think it allows you to side individually for a lot of different decks if you run those kind of decks, the anti-meta, the rock stun, things like that, because you already have them accounted for. And so that's basically my thought on it. Predictions that I have, getting down to the very last thing, so hang in there guys, we're almost done. Predictions I have, I think that the Aqua deck and I guess it's the Atlantean deck, I think that is going to be huge when it comes out. I think it's going to follow the trend of the past couple structure decks, where you can essentially buy 3 of it and you'll have a tier 1 deck. You look, it happened with Dark Worlds, it happened with Agents, it happened with Chaos Dragons. I mean, it's a trend that's starting to seriously creep into the game, where you can spend very little money and have a very competitive deck. Not necessarily the greatest, because I mean, you look at the Chaos Dragons and yeah, you need to buy the tour guides. It's just the same way with the Dark World when it came out, but I think it's a cool thing for Konami to do, because it allows you to become a very competitive player very easily, and I like to see a lot of good players in the game, because that way it helps you get better as a player as well, playing against those kind of decks. That way you don't have these derpy decks running around. But yeah, so guys, this has basically been something that we're going to try to do. Obviously, I'll probably improve on a lot of different things I'm going to be talking about in our diving into the meta segment. I'm going to try to do it once a week, because I think with this game it's going to change. I mean, this game changes every week. There's something different, some combo, some ultra tech card that somebody comes up with. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Please rate, comment, subscribe. We'll have a couple other videos and everything up. So please support us. It's great to hear from you guys. Comments are awesome. Any ideas you guys have, any comments on what I've said, is great. I know it's a little lengthy, but I mean, I guess I'm trying to be informative. What can I say? So thank you guys again. Please send us messages, anything you guys want. Feedback is great. But thank you guys a lot. This is TeamPlusorBust, Joe, signing out. Figure out how to work this thing.